Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and it's another episode that we have to talk about your favorite subject, your favorite topic, my favorite team, your favorite team, the Cleveland Browns. We will get into just a little bit of off-season strategy, a little bit of news that dropped, and maybe, a couple draft rumors here and there. But before we get to it, just want to say thank you for watching. Go ahead, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you wouldn't mind, I'll put it again in the description box below. The article I wrote on quarterback experience, Power 5 starts. It's been pretty popular, getting a lot of good feedback on it. So if you would do me a favor, go ahead, read that, share that, and that's going to be in the description. You can find it at bjack70.com. You'll find it posted to my Twitter. It's everywhere. So if you want to see it, you can find it. But yeah, go ahead, read that, share that, post that wherever you want to. That's still relevant, especially relevant with the quarterbacks coming up this weekend at the Combine. So again, thank you in advance for subscribing, for sharing, for doing all that. And let's go ahead and get right into it. So what I want to talk about is here on February 26th, the day I'm recording this on Thursday, the day that the Combine has started in earnest. We're seeing people run, we're seeing people jump, we're seeing people do agility drills, all that good stuff. So let's what are the Browns doing? What are the Browns doing? What's the feeling? What's the rumors? What are the talking points that are coming out of Indianapolis? Well, the first thing is this is around the time where new rules and proposals get brought up for the league ahead of the new league year. And apparently, the Browns have proposed a rule in which teams should be allowed to trade draft picks 5 years into the future instead of just 3. So essentially what that means is we're in 2026 now. As it stands right now, you are able to trade draft picks in 2026, 2027, and 2028. All right. So if the rule were to get passed and approved by the rest of the league, you would be able, ahead of the 2026 draft, you would be able to trade picks in 2026, 27, 28, 29, and 2030 if the Browns rule were to pass. Now, speculation on why would it be the Browns that want that to go through, that want that to pass, especially given what they've done in the past, in recent memory, trading multiple first-round picks away. Doesn't really seem like a good strategy, or a strategy that has worked out for the Browns in any positive way. The first thing that I saw after I saw this report that the Browns allegedly want this to happen, first thing I saw was, Arch Manning, you are a Cleveland Brown. So, I mean, if you have a team offering you first round picks from 2030, especially if they were the Browns picks in 2030, I mean, yeah, it won't help you anytime soon, but for sure that those picks are going to be valuable when you get to 2030. I dare say, if a GM received that offer, the owner of that team would say, who wants to give you first round picks in 2030 or 2029? Who wants to do that? The Browns? Oh, that, we can guarantee they'll be bad in 5 years' time, in 4 years' time. That's a good bet. I'll take that bet. So just because this has been proposed doesn't mean it's going to work, doesn't mean it's going to be approved. Not even necessarily that the outcome is the Browns trade away picks from 5 years in the future. They might not do it. They just want to have the ability to do it in case they want to make another franchise altering decision in a negative fashion. They'll have the ability to do it. But we will see. We'll see how that goes. Because this is around the time, like last year, the tush push that came up for a vote around this time, and it failed. Tush push still good, still legal. So, just because it comes up for a vote doesn't mean it's going to be approved. But I thought that was a little funny that it was the Browns that proposed that idea, allegedly, reportedly. But to move off that, speaking of trading, there's rumors coming out of Indianapolis about draft strategy, off-season strategy of the Cleveland Browns. We got press conference info from Andrew Berry, had a press conference with Todd Monken, and they talked about a lot of stuff, went over a lot of things of how they want to shape the roster, what they think of the people on the roster, and so on and so forth. But the big takeaways as far as off-season moves that aren't the draft, because we'll get to the draft in a second, but any like free agent signings or trades or how they want to fill out the offensive talent on the roster, I think what's going to end up happening is we know that the Browns need offensive linemen. Doesn't matter what position you play, doesn't matter what doesn't matter at all. They need offensive linemen. They'll take multiples at one position. Just get them in the building and figure it out. So as far as the interior of the line goes, Joel Bitonio is still figuring out if he's going to retire or not. And it was said Andrew Berry would love to have him back. So if he's not going to retire, they would love to have him back. So we have to wait on that. But otherwise, that center position, that right guard position, we can, if we want to upgrade that position, it feels like it's probably going to be through a trade. Looking at the interior offensive linemen in free agency, there's really not a lot going on, not a lot of offensive linemen in general. The good ones don't usually become free agents. There is one in in special cases they do become free agents because Tyler Linderbaum is a center from the Baltimore Ravens. Didn't get franchise tagged because correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I believe if you're just an offensive lineman, you get, like, if you get tagged, the number that they tag you at is going to be like across the spectrum of offensive linemen. So like left tackle prices and center prices are dramatically different, but like you get a mixture of both of those, like of every single position, tackle, guard, center on the line. I don't know. Because if that's not the case, I don't know why the Ravens didn't just franchise Linderbaum and figure it out. Because if it's just center prices, I would have franchise tagged Linderbaum in a heartbeat, unless there's some, I'm not really up on the Ravens cap situation, so unless they couldn't make that work or something like that, but they're still in negotiations with Tyler Linderbaum, so they want him to come back. They want to bring him back on a long-term deal. So I don't know exactly why he's not getting franchise tagged, but He's the guy. He's the guy in free agency that everybody's looking at. And the Browns are in the running. The Browns are definitely going to be one of the handful of teams trying to make a deal with him. Could be that the Giants are in the lead currently, but that's all speculation. There's apparently the Browns, the Ravens, the Giants, and then another team that we don't know the identity of, and that the mystery team could be the leader in the clubhouse. So we don't really know. We just know that he's the top guy on the offensive line at the center position, overall in free agency for offensive linemen. So you go after him. But other than that, if you want, like if Joel doesn't come back, you're probably looking at a trade. And I have no idea who they'd be looking at via trade. Probably somebody with 1 or 2 years left on their deal, looking for an extension. So you probably have to attack it that way. I don't know what that would cost draft capital wise, or however they want to go about doing that. But I think if they're going to improve the interior of the offensive line, they're going to do it via trade and not free agency. As far as the tackles go, that's probably a draft fix. That solution probably lies in the draft. You're going to rehab DeJuan Jones, hope that he comes back as healthy as he can possibly come back, but you're probably going to attack that multiple times in the draft. Do you do it in the first round? Do you do it early second? How many times do you draft a tackle? Yet to be seen, but we'll figure that out later. As far as the wide receiver room goes, there's rumors, there's speculation, there's talk, there's mumblings, there's rumblings that the Browns are interested in Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints. If New Orleans wants to get rid of him, if they don't want to keep him around, that would be an excellent ad for really any team. But that would be a truly exciting ad, a truly significant ad, a true game-changing ad to the wide receiver room if they were able to pick up Chris Olave. Chris Olave is an excellent receiver, can get open, can catch the football, familiar with Ohio, playing at Ohio State, just a very good, very, very good receiver, already proven in the NFL. The only problem is his concussion history. That's the only problem. And I don't really foresee that being something that would hold teams back from going after him. That's something that this is going to be a theme. Get him in the building and figure it out. Cross that bridge when you get to it. If you can get Chris Olave, get Chris Olave. And I don't believe it's going to take any first round capital. It might take a second, third round capital, possibly. But if you can get Chris Olave in the building in this wide receiver room that desperately needs an injection of talent, you do it. You do it. There's also been talk, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name has been thrown around as a trade candidate the whole season, the whole 2025, the whole 2026 as it stands so far. He's somebody that people look at as a trade target because he hasn't lived up to the billing. But honestly, I don't know why. I mean, new regime, new coaching staff in Arizona, but I don't know why you would want to get rid of someone with that much potential, that much untapped potential, especially if you hate Kyler Murray so much that you're going to trade him away. Maybe keep him around and see what he looks like with the next quarterback you're going to get in there. I personally, I don't understand a world where a team trades away Marvin Harrison Jr. Um, the Saints, if they want to get rid of Chris Olave, like sure, that's their prerogative. Maybe they're scared away by the injury history. Maybe they don't want to be the ones to pay him an extension. I'll understand that somewhat. For the Cardinals and Marvin Harrison Jr., that's not something that I understand completely. But I would love to take a shot from the Cleveland Browns. I would love to take a shot at Marvin Harrison Jr. because we'll be honest, it has not worked out to the degree that they expected it to work out in Arizona. He was a top 10 pick. I don't remember if he was top 5. I know he was top 10. Just an outstanding. Yeah, he was 4. Yeah, he was, I think, top 5 pick. It hasn't worked out, but I mean, you can have your misgivings, but that is a guy that if you got to figure out, you got to do more than 2 years to figure out if if it's really him or is it the situation. Like 2 years isn't enough because he hasn't been completely healthy the whole time, so you haven't really gotten like there's too much unknown in my opinion to get rid of him. But if they were going to, I would love the Browns to step in and say, "Hey, let's go ahead, let's kick the tires, let's see if we can figure it out." Especially with Todd Monken in the building, see if you can figure that out. So those are the rumors, the scuttlebutt going around Indianapolis for free agency or trades around the Cleveland Browns. But let's get into talking about the draft and maybe just a little bit of draft strategy. First of all, not necessarily Cleveland Browns related because he'll probably be gone by the time they pick, but it just happened. I'm recording on Thursday afternoon, so it's top of mind. Shout out David Bailey, edge from Texas Tech. Call the family. David Bailey, call the family. You did it. Top 5 stamped, locked. Top 3 stamped, locked. David Bailey went out there, ran a 4.5 flat. Again, call the family, tell your mom, you did it. We did it. The money's coming. It's on the way. So shout out to him. Just congratulations to him because that young man is going to be a top 5 at worst. But I wanted to get that out of the way because he's not going to factor into this decision that we're talking about at pick 6. So shout out to him, but he's not involved. After the Andrew Berry press conference answers, after the Todd Monken press conference answers and interviews and everything like that, we're trying to piece together what the draft strategy will be. And the number one thing that people keep coming away with is Browns want to trade down. And obviously, when you get in situations, you always want to trade down, but it doesn't always make sense because for you to trade down, another team needs to want to come up. And usually you're not in that position, or usually you need quarterbacks available to be able to trade down. And especially at 6, first of all, there's only one true quarterback in this draft. He's going number 1. That's, we're not worried about that. So there's no other quarterback to come up for. And at pick 6, it's really there's not 6 guys that are just unbelievable, can't miss talents, blue chips, 6 stars in this draft that you need to come up for. So yeah, the Browns would like to trade down from 6, but you're gonna need a team to really be gung ho about some prospect that hasn't gone in the top 5. So that's going to be difficult. And what people keep saying, what people keep talking about is Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State, being the target of somebody like the Dallas Cowboys, come up to 6 and you trade back and they take Caleb Downs and everybody's happy. That's probably a perfect world, perfect scenario. Perfect scenario is a trade I saw on Twitter. It was the Dallas Cowboys come up to 6. They get 6. Browns get pick 12 and pick 20. That is best case scenario. So if you're the Cleveland Browns in that scenario, you have pick number 12, pick number 20, pick number 24 in the draft, and then I don't know exactly what second round pick they have, but it's a high one. So excuse me. So if you could do that, absolutely. But let's just assume that they don't get the ability to trade down. Nobody wants to come up. What do they do at 6? Feels like from the way that Andrew Berry's talking, from the way that Todd Monken is talking, that it's just going to be best player available. And this is according to Jared Mueller, who I would recommend go follow Jared Mueller on Twitter. He does excellent work all year round, but especially excellent work while he's at the combine every year. And his article that came out this morning, what he's hearing, what he feels is that the Browns probably, if they pick at 6, is going to be a best player available situation. So you look at the board, look who's there, whoever's available, whoever the best player is, no matter positional value, no matter what you might need from a roster construction standpoint, none of that matters. Whoever you identify on your big board in order, whoever is the top on your board left available at 6, you take them. You run the card up and you take them. And it could be any number of players that are still available at 6. There's a grouping of players that we're getting the sense that'll be either taken or like around that area. So you got Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, going to the Raiders at number 1, and then the rest, David Bailey, who I talked about, Arvell Reese, linebacker out of Ohio State, Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State, and then there's some offensive linemen floating around in there. Caleb Lowe which one? There's a tackle from Utah that people are talking about, top 5 range. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's Lomu or Fano, but one of the tackles from Utah, and then Francis Mauigoa, tackle from the University of Miami. And then if you want to keep going, you got Carnell Tate up there. Jordan Tyson maybe up there. Ruben Bain, even though he got measured today, his arms are really short. People really don't like short-armed edges, just like they don't like short-armed tackles. So that may affect him in a way. But those are the people around that area being talked about. And after today's measurements and pairing measurements with the film, and then we'll see him run, I believe, tomorrow, Sonny Styles, linebacker out of Ohio State. He measured in at a true 6'5", 244 pounds, and he moves incredibly agile. I can't wait to see what he runs today when you're watching this. But for me recording it, it's tomorrow. But he might also jump into that mix as well. Best player available. Who's left? Doesn't matter the fit, because I mean, if you're thinking about fit, obviously you need an offensive lineman. If you're thinking about fit, obviously you need a wide receiver. Do you take Carnell Tate at 6 when Caleb Downs is still on the board? Or what if Arvell Reese doesn't go as high as you think he does? If Arvell Reese is on the board, Carnell Tate's on the board, Caleb Downs is on the board, what do you do? What do you do? I respectfully love Carnell Tate. Respectfully, if you got a guy like Caleb Downs still on the board, really, if you got a guy like Arvell Reese, shout out Cleveland, shout out Glenville, still on the board at 6, you sprint the card up there and put Arvell Reese in, because if you can use a guy like that in multiple different spots. You can put him at edge on the other side of Myles Garrett. You can put him off ball linebacker next to Carson Schwetzinger. You can use him in a multitude of ways, and then you just elevate that defense so much more. Even if Reese is gone and Caleb Downs is there, you take Caleb Downs, you elevate the secondary. You elevate the secondary. You can never have too many great DBs, too many good DBs, too many playable DBs. So even if it doesn't feel like a super position of need or fit for the team, you just get good players in the building and figure it out. Because if you improve the defense, that just means on offense, that's less points that you need to score every week. If you can hold teams down on one side of the ball with an excellent defense. I mean, we saw the Seattle Seahawks do it. We just saw the blueprint. We just saw the blueprint of the Seahawks do it. Seahawks, they weren't in the same position. They haven't been picking in the top 10 the last 2 years, but their last 2 years in the first round, they drafted a guard, Gray Zabel, and they drafted a defensive tackle, Byron Murphy. Non-premium positions. They took the best player that they felt was on the board at that spot. And obviously they didn't win the Super Bowl just because of those two guys, just because they took those two guys. But they both were instrumental in helping them get there. It helps. The year before that, they took Jackson Smith-Njigba, and they took Devin Witherspoon at 6 or 7 and 18 or 19 or wherever they took JSN at. So don't worry about fit. Just worry about if they're good or not, especially at 6. Especially at 6. I thought going into, and it's still early, very early, we still are going to have a whole 2 months to speculate about what the Browns are going to do. But thinking about what the Browns are going to do, going into this, I thought they would just smash offensive linemen at 6, no matter what. Whoever was the best one there, I thought they would take that. But now I'm rethinking it a little bit. Now I'm thinking, it could still be that way, because even though safety isn't premium position, Caleb Downs is a premium player. So he could go 5. Arvell Reese could go 4. So we don't really know how it's going to shake out. So you could potentially have your pick of the litter offensive line, and everybody else that you wanted is gone. I don't think Sonny Styles will go in the top 5. So you probably always have to think about that. If that's something that you want to do, if he's tested in that much of an outstanding way. We'll see. When you're watching this, you might already know what he did. We could be talking about him. I'm not even gonna go that far, but there's so much up in the air. There's so much up in the air at 6. And even when you go back to 24, pick 24, there are offensive linemen that will be available at that around that spot. But do you like them? But do you like those guys at that spot? There's going to be a lot of posturing. The Browns didn't trade back last year until a couple hours before the draft started. So this could go all the way up until April 25th or whatever it is. So, but we'll see. We're going to speculate. We're going to wildly speculate for 2 more months. We're going to talk about it. We're going to watch the combine. We're going to watch the film. We're gonna do all that. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate you watching. Again, one more time, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Go ahead, hit the description or bjack70.com or at bjack70 on Twitter, on Instagram. Go there, find my article, read it, share it, repost it, do whatever you want, do it. And yeah, man, thank you in advance for doing that. Yeah, appreciate you being here, and I will see you next week. See you.